Hey everyone, it's Tiqqle, and in this video we're going to talk all about corrupted gear and my thoughts on it in the current meta, in the current PvP, PvE scene, and the different corrupted items I have, okay? I think there's good things, I think there's bad things, so that's what we're going to get into right now. Alright guys, so first of all, let me just say, I've gotten a bunch of corrupted pieces, and it didn't feel like I was accumulating a lot of them, but over time I was doing world quests, I was doing the assaults every time they were up, which is like every 3 days. I was doing everything possible, the raids, PvP, everything, and then the weekend came around Monday night, and then I learned that you will get a corrupted piece every Tuesday. So that is at least good to know. And let me just quickly go through the corrupted items I have. These are some things I've been testing, so you get an idea of what I've been working with. I have been watching other people stream, other things on Twitter about how crazy Infinite Stars and the Void one is, and amongst the others like the Tentacle one. There's been a ton of craziness going on in the beginning of this PvP and Mythic Plus season. I think it's been more crazy on the PvP side than anything else because people are getting blown up, but I've seen it in raids as well. So let's go ahead and just go through my corruptions so you get a sense of what I've been able to get, and I'll kind of mention how I've gotten it. I've gotten this from my weekly chest, plus 20 corruption, increasing the amount of critical strike you gain from all sources by 12. Now, if you guys didn't know, there's 3 different ranks of corruptions. That is how how much corruption it gives you, and also how good it is for that stat. So this could have been 6%, 9%, or 12%, and I got the highest one of 12%. I'm pretty sure that's the highest one. You can correct me down below, but I know there are 3 ranks. So this is actually pretty good, especially for Ellie. I do like it. Secondary stat ones seem odd, but if it's one that you're definitely stacking, especially for PvE, I definitely think they could be good. The verse one, on the other hand, is a little bit different because you don't get verse through all the same ways that you get crit and haste and such. Now, otherwise, I have this belt. This belt also came from my weekly chest. Yay me, I got pretty lucky. Damaging spells and abilities cause your target to ooze blood, dealing 20k damage. It's not a crazy good one, but it's doing about 8% of my damage, which is overall pretty good. I also have this. Taking damage has a chance to proc plus 730 versatility. Seems pretty good for 20 seconds. Seems pretty good, but yeah, I can't really control it. It's just kind of RNG, so I'm kind of middle of the road on this one. And then the other ones I've gotten here are here in my inventory, which is a mess, but they're in the center. I got gloves, increase your versatility by 9 from all sources, including buffs, including trinket procs, including anything, your class stuff, your essences, your Azurite traits, anything. I also got a belt increasing critical strike by 9 from all sources. This one is another one for proccing 730 verse. I got a weapon for Void Ritual, which everyone pretty much got on their bracers, which is also over here, which is a stacking buff. People weren't really clear on what does this mean. You get all your secondary stats by 7 every 20 seconds. Yeah, every second it goes 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, etc., etc. And I can keep going. Don't tempt me. So that's that. I think it's actually pretty good for PvE, I would think. But let me know what you guys think about all these in the comments at the end. Now, this one is you get verse plus 12%. Wow. Oh my. You got the gloves, 9%. The boots, 12%. Pretty darn good. Yeah, we'll get into that. And then I also have feat. Your spells and abilities have a chance to give you glimpse of clarity, reducing the cooldown on your next one spell by 3 seconds. An interesting play. The reduction of cooldown, there's many others kind of like this, but not exactly the same, I'm pretty sure, that are reducing cooldowns, which is cool. I always liked cooldown reduction in games like League of Legends, and it just gives another flavor of different playstyle. And then I got this one, the bracers as well. As you've probably noticed, I haven't gotten any of the crazy ones. Infinite Stars, Twisting Appendage, what are the other ones? You can put them down below, the crazy stuff. But I haven't gotten any of those. But I've seen their impact in Arena, in everything. There has been some tuning, but yeah, so that's what I've been working with. I've mostly been getting them from, this one I got from a world quest. These I mostly got from raid or from the assaults. And then these 2 I got from the weekly. That's pretty much how I've been doing it. That's about it. I mean, that's all the ways you can farm. You can also get them from Mythic Pluses. I haven't had a single one drop that way, unfortunately, yet. It is what it is. But now let's get into what do I think about it for the meta in PvE and PvP. Let's start with the good news. Let's be positive. I think the corruptions have increased damage overall. Secondary stats are snoozer. They're kind of boring to play with, unlike these things that are in the world. I always think whenever Blizzard does effects like any type of trinket proc that procs more damage, or any type of visual effect, it increases the enjoyment I have in the game. I go for those things because it changes. It's a unique way to play the game, or a unique effect while playing the game that you won't ever have again. Next X-Pack, you won't. So I've always liked those types of things, and I do think it brings that. The increased damage, though, is the most important for PvE and PvP. Why? Well, last season, Season 3, unless I'm crazy. Yeah, Season 3 of PvP, the damage was was like fine, like okay, it was okay. But the defensive capabilities of a lot of different classes, self-healing, tank trinkets, a lot of that stuff was getting out of control. It made the game go so slow. And because of that, you saw a lot of classes not viable in PvP because they didn't have the self-healing capabilities that other classes did to sustain the long fight. And now that corruption pieces have come in, they have jacked up the damage overall. Like, if you get anything that has on-hit damage proc, it increases your damage, let's say 8%. That's a bonus 8% damage you didn't have before. So that's good. There are crazy on the other side of the spectrum where you're getting too much damage, like Infinite Stars is doing so much proc damage. They are getting tuned down a little bit by Blizzard, but it does seem like they want to, not reward people, but they want those people with those heavy corrupted pieces to have that extra punch. Okay, at least things are faster. What has that done to the PvP meta? I think, and this is preliminary because we're only into week 2 of the PvP season, but I think this acceleration of damage is making it possible for other classes to come into the mix. You might think to yourself, Tiqqle, that's stupid. If a class is bad and then it gets a really good corruption, that all of a sudden makes it viable? Yeah, I agree. That's stupid. But the thing is, increasing everyone's damage, if you get those, which you eventually will, people will eventually get those. It might just be the grind of how to get them, and it might be the grind of when you're going to get it will be the problem. Everyone's going to get that, and it's going to increase everyone's damage. There are already essences, death, I forget what it's called actually. It's this essence is increasing people's passive damage by another 8%, which is, Breath of the Dying. That's doing another 8% damage, and that's only rank 1 people have. Now people are getting to rank 2. That's also increasing damage. So when you're increasing damage, you're not relying on things like self-healing as much. You're not relying on things like passive absorption shields like Destros. And now that there's no tank trinkets, all the melee are kind of falling into the similar tier of being able to be played. Like I've seen Enhanced Shaman in the arena. It's like, what? And it's because with tank trinkets being removed, and the reason tank trinkets were a problem in my perspective was it did slow the game down, but what it did more than that is it actually made it so any class that made it easy to get a tank trinket, any class with a tank specialization was at least mediocrely viable. But any class that couldn't get that is out. And it was not good. It was not good for a lot of classes. Hunter specs, Enhanced Shamans, I can't even think of everything. Druids, all forms of DPS druid. So, well, they can get it, but it's just kind of a cheesy, weird way. But so without those things in the way now, and with increased damage, it's making some comps more viable. So classes like Enhanced Shaman can enter the arena again. Boomkins are coming in again. Why? Because those on-damage corruptions are pretty crazy for classes that have a lot of damage spread across, which might be why Blizzard had nerfed Shadow Priest and Boomkin by about 10%. Well, exactly 10% coming into this patch. So I think corruptions are good because it accelerated arena. I think they're good because they might revive RBGs. To me, RBG scene has been pretty low this past few PvP seasons, and even this X-Pack. I have not been doing them with my community. I've been kind of holding off, but this season we're going to actually play them again because people are into the fact that they are pumping damage. People are doing a lot. Sure, some of it's trinkets, some of it's little things and these like on proc damage, but it is accelerating the game, and no one can deny that. I do think. So that's the good stuff. Faster gameplay, more classes are going to be able to be brought in because damage is overall higher, and things will be able to be mixed and matched. Will it be optimal? Is everything a Windwalker? No, but it brings things in so it is actually playable. I think I'm hoping up until like a 2400 level. I'm hoping because last season above 24 to 26 to like 2700 RMP. like Walking Dead Frost. There was Destro X. Like, there was very few comps, and that makes the game pretty boring. So this new season, I think we will get a more diverse pool of comps, and that is my hope, because it makes the game so much more fun that way. It's not just RMX everywhere. And so I do think that that's the good stuff. Now, what is the bad stuff about corruptions? Here's the deal. The way you get corruptions is not good. It's not good. It's RNG, and it's RNG on RNG. Just a quick reminder, this patch, Blizzard removed Titan Forging. That was where your drop could go from an extra 5 item levels to an extra, I think it's 20 was the max. Now they got rid of that. None of that. No. And that was just one scale, right? 5 item level or 15. Like, that's your scale if it happens. Now any gear, except for trinkets, can drop, and Azurite pieces, and it can get corrupted. Now, corruptions are RNG drop as well, but they can also be of rank 1, 2, 3. Okay, sounds like 5 item level, 10 item level, 15 item level from Titan Forging. Okay, sure, that's like kind of in line. But the problem is there are so many corruptions. There are so many, and any corruption can be on any piece of gear. So that means you could get a corruption that gives you 200, I think it's like 200 crit on your potential damaging ability. Not very good for PvP. For PvE, I don't really, I mean, unless it's just such a good stat for you, it's probably not going to be that good. And that double layer of RNG is a killer, especially because it can happen on any piece in the game. So there isn't specific ways to get it, right? But and these RNG drops can happen on anything, meaning I have been doing world quests. I've been farming world quests because I'm compelled to farm world quests. I don't want to do it. I'm farming 410 drops in the hope that they drop with infinite star. If they do, my damage on Ellie will go off a cliff. It'll go insane. So that's what I'm hoping for. But the reality is I haven't gotten any of the good damage ones. And my friends have been getting like Void Ritual ×4. And it's like, oh, dude. So that is the tough thing for me to kind of be like, oh, RNG on RNG. You're encouraging everyone to like play nonstop, to farm everything all the time, because no matter what, it has a chance. It's kind of nice that everything has a chance, but at the same time, it makes you compelled to do everything. Everyone is farming so much stuff, and in the most part, no one's getting it from a lot. A few people are, but most people aren't. From like world quests and stuff, like 410 rings. I actually got the 410 ring to drop in Corrupt. That was after a bunch of world quests. Trust me on that. So I think the way you get corrupted pieces is pretty lame. It's unfortunate. It's too bad you can't re-roll them. Like that makes me like cringe because of Titanium Residium and not getting a good piece for a long time. But it's almost like I wish I could swap them around to different pieces, or there's a little amount of customization that could go along with these corruptions, or being able to purchase one after a certain time, or being able to trade 3 in to get one you want, or 4 in, something like that, to be able to convert. Okay, I did all that effort. I RNG dropped it, corrupted, but it's all Void Ritual. Like, you're getting kind of dumpstered. I am glad that on a weekly basis from PvP and PvE, you're getting at least, not 4, 2 pieces of corrupted gear at a pretty high item level. But again, that double RNG factor. And the reason the double RNG factor is such a big deal, double RNG again, is rank 1 to 3 corruption, and then one of like 20 corruptions, is because if you get the lower if you get the lower rank of even a great corruption, it's not good. It's not good. So I had a friend get Twisting Appendage on his Rogue, rank 1, it did 0 damage. It wasn't doing that crazy amount of damage that everyone, like other people were seeing. And sure, yeah, that's the whole reason why it has less corruption. But the scale of damage to corruption is just it's not even comparable. And to be honest, I haven't been informed about the simming situation of simming secondary stat buffing corruptions versus on damage ones, but it's pretty clear from PvP, the proccing damage ones are like infinity better, quote me on that, than the secondary stat ones. So I definitely think there is definitely a difference there that is not really, it's too bad. It's too bad that they're not all like, oh, this could work well with the damaging ability. Oh, this could work well if I had more verse. So there is some of that, but it kind of makes it rough. Especially because the drops. The other factor that I don't like is that I have pieces of gear. Like, for example, I have these boots. Increases versatility from all sources by 12. The problem, well, this one actually is good. It has verse on it. See, the gear has verse. And then if I put it on, if you watch my verse, it's 17%. It goes to 18%. Okay, like that's okay. Look, you got more. Here's one that's 445. It doesn't have verse on it. My current piece is 15 item levels lower. And when I put it on, my verse actually stays exactly the same. I understand the percentage, like getting additional secondary stats will come over time because like everyone's item level's lower than it will be in about 2 weeks. We'll all be 460. It'll be cool. It'll scale higher off of higher secondary stats. But seeing equipped, like increases the amount of versatility you gain by all sources by 9 on a piece of gear without versatility is like when Diablo had mages, or like when you were a sorcerer in Diablo and you would get drops that were a two-handed axe with the best, sorcerer ability, or where so it's like those mixed matching circumstances that make it like, what, but why though? Why though? So I actually don't even use that piece of gear. I use something else, which is actually lower eye level. And that's just because I don't want that additional corruption. It's not worth it. There has to be a benefit for the cost, and trying to stay below 40, which I'm failing to do even right now, makes it very hard. So that's just a few things to think about. But yeah, so I mean, lastly, the only thing I want to say is the ways that they could fix it. I think they could make a conversion method where you could take 4 items of corruption and you could pick from one of 3 options or something like that to re-roll, because just removing corruption from a piece of gear is pretty boring. Mother can do that, but it's pretty boring. Just remove it. Just get it out of here. Like this one I'm probably going to remove because the stats are actually decent, the item level's high, and there's a socket. But I wish I didn't need to do that. So with that being said, I think that's one way. You guys, I want to hear what you think, though. Put it down in the comments if you think it's a good, bad for things, and also suggestions. What do you think Blizzard should do about how you get gear and having the gear in general? Some people are saying disable it in PvP altogether. I don't think that'll happen, but that's one option. Or, different things. PvE, I think it actually is pretty exciting. I think the only problem is the RNG factor of it makes it so if I have 2 LA Shamans that are exactly the same, but if one has infinite stars, his damage is going to be 15% higher than mine, which is kind of lame because it's completely RNG times 2. So guys, that's it. You guys have been asking me a lot about this. What do I think about corruptions? What do I, what's good, bad, whatever. And it's a mixed bag to me. It is spicy. I will say that. And we'll talk about this more on stream. I've been getting this question every day on stream, so make sure to come by the stream, twitch.tv/tickle this. I'll put it down in the description, and we'll talk to you guys soon and maybe do some PvP together. RBGs, we're bringing them back. Let's go.